Morning, my sacrificial
Okay. I know that you can't be feeling well when you signed up for another position. You have to be full of NyQuil.
M-O-R-I-N. Don't tease me. I called.
Now have to be more often. Really? Hello. Hello. Really?
Of course, the only one.
Oh, yourself the help.
One, right?
Hey, Doug. Doug.
I don't know. So you can barely see the microphone in the camera. So I don't know if you want to move the mic in so that this is actually speaking.
That's a good idea.
We should run AV for some of our programs.
Well, what I meant was on the board selection meeting.
And then.
Yeah,
See in here.
yeah.
It's buffering, hang on.
222A.
Yes, that's better, thank you. Yes. Well, they have markers, we're gonna take it easy. Yep, I can go get it.
You're fully recorded, so. There is some to the right of the empty doors, sitting up where the panic bar is.
Hey, how was your ride home last night? I bet it was.
Oh, how is your food? Yeah.
Oh, sure, why not?
So it's coming along. Does it depend on what activity you did the day before? Yeah.
Like he introduces a new PT form. I literally just started moving it this way. I have not done that yet. And that's like, oh. So we're getting there. He said I'm early and I'm doing fine.
So, do we drop colors for draws or are those?
I don't do I no, these are over my head. Which I literally I was having a few weeks so I got you care of. I literally just started doing it. I was doing that shit before.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I gave up right behind the back clothes a few years ago because my arms just don't like doing that. Oh my God. And then I found a line of bras that don't look like grandma's bras.
oh yeah.
I'm very happy now. Love the hat.
This is a good one.
It's a great hat. All right.
It sounds like you're both.
I did not know.
And it's kids actually. I don't write about kids because I don't learn it. And it's like kids, they're flatter than they are. So they don't read as I think I had there was a I'm aware of that, so it's gone, but there's not anyone
Kindly. Thoughtful.
That's
Yes, it is. Obviously, I'm not one of them. More than we need anything else.
Right.
We're important for ourselves as well as all.
Good morning. Since it's 9:01, I'm going to go ahead and call the first session of the annual Nottingham Business Meeting in order. My name is Dawn Fernald. I'm your town moderator. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you take your seat, or you're already sitting, that's right. I'd like you all to just take a moment to introduce yourselves to the people around you. These are your neighbors. This is our community. I'd ask that we all keep that in mind. All right. So thank you again, just as we conduct our business today, remember the kind person you just introduced yourself to. We will begin first with some introductions. Today, serving as my assistant moderator is Bonnie Winona McKinnon. We have Johan Kirchhoff, who'll be up here taking time for us. Supervisors of the checklist are here with us. We have Deanne Decker, Alexandra Neff. No Ruth Ann Fuller today, but we have Terry, and why am I blanking on your last name?
Yankees.
Yankees, Terry Yankees. Our ballot clerks today, again, Johan Kirchhoff, Maureen O'Connor, Catherine and Roger Ferdan. We have our town clerk who will be taking our minutes, so please state your name and your address when you come to the microphone, loud and clear for her. Our legal counsel today is Madeline Matulis with Upton and Hatfield. With us to present our warrant articles and help answer your questions are our town administrator, Ellen White, Board of Select Persons Chair, John Moran, Vice Chair, Tim Gabriel, Select Persons, Matt Sherlin, Steve Welch, and John Decker. We also have our department heads today, Police Chief Vaughn Woodman, Fire Chief Matt Curry, Department of Public Works Director Steve Rollins, Parks and Recreation Director Courtney Duvall. We have our Budget Committee with us today. We have Chair Owen Fran Gray, Vice Chair Mike Kelly. Joining us in the front row are our Budget Committee members, or some of them I see. We have Karen Quinn, Sandra Jones, Charlotte Fife, and Donna Danis. Not with us right now are Jeff Morrison, Jillian Elgin, Robert Kelly. They may join us. Some of the folks that I have just introduced, while not registered voters in the town of Nottingham, are an integral part of today's presentations. Therefore, I'm granting them permission to speak at this meeting. They are as follows: Ellen White, Madeline Matulis, Steve Rollins, Courtney Duvall, and Neil Santos will be joining us later on from the PLIA board. In addition to all of our elected officials and department heads, I see many town employees, including the majority of our police department, most of whom are also residents of this town with us today, fire department as well. Please join me in thanking all of our elected officials and town employees for all of their hard work and for being here to support us. For those of you who may be new or unfamiliar with the SB2 process, I will give the down and dirty cliff notes in hopes that I can make this meeting one that you'll all feel welcome to participate in. As registered Nottingham voters, we are the legislative body. Over the past several months, our town department heads and election officials have worked with the Board of Select Persons to put together a budget that anticipates the needs for the next fiscal year. The Board of Selectmen and department heads then work with our budget committee to refine all of those cost items. The majority of those budget needs are then put into the operating budget, which is Article 7 today. Some larger one-time expenditures may have been written as a separate warrant article. Those articles are 8 through 18 today. Citizens may also draft warrant articles, assuming they obtain 25 signatures of registered voters and submit it by the appropriate date. We have Articles 19 through 26 today. The Budget Committee then holds a public hearing. Once feedback is received from the public, the Budget Committee and the Board of Selectmen each vote to recommend or not recommend any items with a tax impact. You will find those recommendations underneath each article, along with the expected tax impact, should the article pass as written on election day. The warrant is then finalized and posted as you all see it today. Today, you, the legislative body, through me, the moderator, will be given the opportunity to discuss and debate Articles 7 through 26. All articles will be placed on the ballot. We are not moving or voting to accept the articles as they are currently written. However, the legislative body may make a motion to amend these warrant articles. Assuming there is a second motion, I will allow non-repetitive discussion and respectful debate of the amendment. Then I will call for a vote of the amendment. If the yeas have it, this means that you have changed how the warrant article will appear on the ballot. Town election day, which is the second session of our business meeting. All warrants can be amended except those whose wording is prescribed by law and with some limitations. I will point those restrictions out as we move along. While we can change the purpose or the appropriation of a warrant article, we cannot change the subject matter of any warrant article. So if there's a warrant article to appropriate $100,000 for an ambulance, you cannot change that the warrant article is to purchase an ambulance. Zoning articles number 2 through 7 cannot be amended. Zoning articles may only be amended at the planning board's public hearing, which was held earlier this month. The Department of Revenue Administration considers the following amendments from the floor of the meeting as a change in the subject matter of the warrant article and will disallow them. Naming agents to town-funded trust funds when the article as posted in the warrant did not name. Changing an article from appropriating money for a capital reserve or trust fund to expending the money in the current fiscal year. In other words, an amendment to buy a police cruiser now instead of putting the money in the police cruiser capital reserve fund or vice versa. Designating an appropriation article as non-lapsing when the article as posted did not. Since we are a town with a budget committee, our amendments are also subject to the 10% rule. This means that at this meeting, we cannot appropriate a total amount which exceeds the total recommended budget by the budget committee. Again, the town's lawyer is here to help us with legal guidance on all of those fancy exceptions and limitations. Moderator's rules. No person shall speak during any meeting without leave of the moderator, nor when any person is speaking is in order, and all persons shall be silent at the desire of the moderator, RSA 40:7. You'll hear this if that is happening. The moderator will take the articles in the order that they appear on the warrant articles unless the moderator announces the intent to take articles out of order, which will require the approval from the legislative body. Presenters of warrant articles will have a 5-minute time limit unless prior arrangements have been made with the moderator. The moderator shall give permission to speak to non-resident department heads, legal counsel, and any other persons with information pertinent to the warrants at her discretion. A presenter may make additional comments on the article after all other speakers have spoken or when the moderator directs a question, comment from the legislative body to them. Speakers from the legislative body must show their voting card. Does everyone in the room have an orange voting card? No, show me your voting cards. I did ask that anyone who doesn't have a voter card to sit in the back row on the left side here, just to make it easier for our counters, excluding anyone I've already mentioned by name. You must show your voting card, state your name and street address every time you step to the microphone. Speakers will have a 3-minute time limit. We have timekeeper here today. We'll try to give you a 30-second warning, let you know when to stop. We ask that you try really hard at that 30-second warning to wrap it up. We hate to cut anyone off if possible. A reasonable amount of relevant and non-repetitive debate will be allowed from the legislative body. All registered voters who wish to address the article will speak before anyone speaks twice. No uncivil behavior will be tolerated, including but not limited to disrespectful language, false accusations, or personal attacks. If any person shall behave in a disorderly manner and after notice from the moderator persist in such behavior, or shall in any way disturb the meeting or willfully violate any rule of proceeding, the moderator may command any constable or police officer or any legal voter of the town to remove such a disorderly person from the meeting and detain such person until the business is finished, RSA 40:9. Elected officials, election officials, including the moderator, are also citizens with the same voting rights and privileges granted to each citizen. However, when expressing any personal opinions, they must separate themselves from that office by stepping to the floor and speaking from a microphone designated for the public. Any amendment to a warrant must be submitted to the moderator in writing prior to a vote being taken on the amendment. The moderator will not accept negative motions. Negative motions are motions that require a no vote to vote in the affirmative, such as I move that we not amend the budget. There must be a motion and a second on the floor for each amendment. Only one amendment on the floor at a time. The moderator will try to ensure that the contents of all motions and amendments are fully understood. Please do not hesitate to ask the moderator if what you're voting on is not clearly understood. Voting will be again by voter cards, except where required by statute or by proper request. You must be seated for the ballot clerks to count your vote. Voters may request a yes/no secret ballot. Prior to vote, the moderator must receive the signatures of 5 present registered voters requesting a secret ballot on a given motion. RSA 44-A. Voters may also request a secret ballot after a vote done by voter card. Immediately after the division vote on a given motion, 7 present registered voters may stand and request a yes or no revote by secret ballot. RSA 40:4B. All votes are subject to reconsideration during the meeting unless a motion to invoke RSA 4010 is voted in the affirmative regarding that article. A motion to invoke RSA 4010 restricts reconsideration of a warrant article and may be done at any time after an article has been moved. However, the moderator will not recognize the motion if she feels the voters have not yet had an adequate opportunity to discuss an issue. Results of all votes will be announced by the moderator. Persons wishing to film or photograph the meeting shall do so in the back of the room or other area designated by the moderator so as not to serve as a disruption or a distraction. And without further ado, Article 1, to choose by ballot all necessary town officers for the ensuing year. I believe I got a list today. Yes. We have Board of Selectmen, 1 position for 3-year term, Adam Ryan and Charlotte Fife. We have Budget Committee, 3 positions for 3-year terms, Karen Quinn and James Stevens. Cemetery of the Trustees, we have 1 position for a 3-year term, Peter Corbo. Library Trustees, 2 positions for 3-year term, Jennifer Phillips and Kate Knight Dupuy. Planning Board, 2 positions for 3-year term, Daniel Arsenault and Adam Ryan. Planning Board, 1 position for 1-year term, Glenn Griswold. Trustee of the Trust Funds, 1 position for a 3-year term, Denise Blaha. Zoning Board of Adjustments, Gary Anderson, Zoning Board of Adjustments, 2 positions for a 3-year term, Gary Anderson. School Board, 1 position for a 3-year term, Cami Van Drager-Leshner. School District Clerk, 1 position for a 2-year term, Carolyn Grimes. I have also been asked to let you all know that the Planning Board is looking for residents to join a subcommittee to work on updating our master plan. A master plan is a planning document that serves to guide the overall character, physical form, growth, and development of a community. No experience is needed. People of all backgrounds are encouraged to volunteer. Articles 2 through 6 today are zoning articles. Amending them does not fall under the business of this meeting. Zoning warrants can only be amended at the Planning Board's public hearing. Having said that, if the legislative body is interested in having the Planning Board Chair come up and walk us through the articles and entertain some questions, I will make a motion that we allow discussion of those articles to be discussed following Article 26, so as to not interfere with the business we do have to undertake today. If the motion fails, we will move right on to Article 7 and not revisit Articles 2, 3, 6. Can I have a second for the motion to move discussion of Planning Board articles till the end of the meeting?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your card and say aye. Motion carries. Article 7, shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amounts set forth on the budget posted with the warrants or as amended by vote for the first session, for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $5,057,788. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $4,878,584, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16? To take up, it's been a long time since I've read Roman numerals, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Select Board recommends this appropriation 5-0-0. Budget Committee recommends this appropriation 5-2-0. The estimated tax impact is $3.06 per thousand of property valuation. If the article does not pass, the valuation is $2.85 per thousand of property valuation. Speaking today to Article 7 will be our Budget Committee Chair, Owen Friend Gray, and Board of Selectmen Representative Tim DeBrio.
Thank you, Dawn. So just wanted to give some overarching kind of highlights on the operating budget that the Budget Committee primarily reviewed. I can't actually read that from here, so you're all gonna have to bear with me. But I know it's located in RSA 32. And the primary points we want to make coming out of RSA 32 is that this is a high level budgeting, is how the RSA is written for an SB2, meaning that the bottom line is really what's being voted on. How individual lines move within the budget is the purview of the folks running the budget. We also want to highlight, as we've been learning about this tax cap, that all warrants and operating budget, which is a warrant, and all items that have a tax impact are items, thank you, Charlotte, that affect the tax cap. So it's not just a 4% operating budget, it is a 4% on the operating budget and all warrants. And to that end, we are in a 4% tax cap. And just a quick reminder, the Budget Committee makes recommendations. It's the legislative body, so you, the voters, who make the final decision. But as previously mentioned, in this meeting, that can't change by more than 10% of the given value. So I wanted to cover on the next slide sort of the significant items that we heard about and talked through. For the town, one of the biggest one would be the eligibility for raises. Last year on the default budget, town employees did not receive any raise compensations. And that was something we heard from all of the different department heads as being an issue and something that was making it difficult for them to hire and retain good help. Road paving and maintenance was a major issue, especially with that warrant being voted down last year, so that was a large concern in the budget. Building repairs and maintenance was something else that we heard quite a bit about. We were fortunate that there were some anticipated reductions in electricity and fuel charges going forward, so that gave us a little bit of wiggle room within the budget, but not quite as much, of course, as you'd have to hope. But we also did managed to put back in the police cruiser annual purchase, which was something that needed to be bypassed last year. The police cruisers need to be replaced roughly once every 5 years. There's 5 cruisers, so trying to replace them on an annual basis is the most cost-effective methodology. In the default budget, we weren't able to do that. And then also the social services that had been a warrant article last year because of the significant amount of support that that warrant article received. And it's an annual expense. The budget committee put that back into the budget. So I wanted to also go over quickly in the next slide that what really this per 1,000 property valuation. I'm out of order. So just a quick summary, total operating or total budget, the operating budget, which is warrant article 7, 5.06 million, proposed taxable warrants, or I should really say recommended taxable warrants. So the warrants that the budget committee recommended total $423,000 for a total proposed town budget for 2025 of 5.48 million, which works out to a proposed tax increase rate of 3.81%. On the next slide, ELC, what I had started to explain a second ago, which is the per 1,000 property valuation. Trying to put a little bit of context to that so folks understand sort of what that means. I find just a concept like 21 cents per thousand to be a bit hard to understand in real world numbers. So there are two examples that I put in to this. It is the highest value for tax impact per warrant outside of the operating budget, Article 7, and the lowest. So the first example shows what 1 cent per 1,000 on property valuation is. The average assessed value of a property in Nottingham, land with a residence, is $353,100. So that works out for the penny per 1,000 on a property valuation of $3.53 increase to the following year's tax bill. 34 cents per 1,000, which is the highest value as noted, works out to $120.05 on the average tax bill for the following year. I would like to point out also that the intent is for this presentation, when completed, to go on the town website so people can review it further. So don't be concerned trying to write all this down or look at this as you're doing it. This is going to be put out to the public for informational purposes to increase that understanding by everybody. On the next slide, I highlighted the sort of the difference in the proposed versus default budget. That would be the 306 versus the 285. Same math as the previous slide, but just wanted folks to understand what that would mean for people in the various impacts and at the various valuation levels. And if I can find them here, I might be able to read the numbers. There we go. So what that means roughly is if you look at the 306 and the 285, that's a 21 cent differential on the proposed versus the default. So using three different valuations of $200,000, that $353,100, which is the town average, and then the higher of $500,000 for assessed value, you see that the tax implication of proposed versus default at the 200 is $42. At the 353,100 is $74.15. And at the 500,000 assessed value, excuse me, it is $105 is the difference. Another way to look at it, if you're trying to do it in your head, that I find might be a little easier for folks to understand, is you can also look at that 21 cents per thousand as $21 per 100,000. So if you're trying to do the math on a different scale on 100,000, that's a slightly easier number maybe to use. And then on the next slide, I wanted to review and give some explanation for the warrant articles that the budget committee did not support. The budget committee overall supported all of the warrant articles except for two. One of them, Article 22, we felt was repetitious with the other road maintenance article, because the other road maintenance article references the same stretch of Stevens Hill Road to be paved. In addition, adding those additional funds into the budget or the warrant articles would have actually put us over the tax cap, so we couldn't recommend it without cutting other items from the budget. But really, the primary reason was that it was already included in a different warrant article. And then the other, Article 24, I believe, which is the community newsletter. The budget committee in general supported the concept of the community newsletter and liked it, but really struggled to find where $10,000 could be cut out of the budget in other locations that the budget already wasn't stressed very thinly. So that's something that the budget committee couldn't recommend unless they reduced the budget, because that put us over the tax cap. So just wanted to make sure it was understood that overall, the thought process wasn't necessarily against the community newsletter. It was more just a lack of space within the existing cap was the primary focus of the discussion. And then just some more details, and this is really more for future reference in case anybody feels like they need some reading material to help them fall asleep at night. Here are the exact RSA quotes for the different items that we talked about, tax rates, budgeting, how it's a bottom dollar budget warrant that we work underneath. Just wanted to add those in for extra clarification. I think that's all I needed. Should be. We'll find out. And I look forward to it. Goes to the next one.
Tim, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Well, I first want to thank our town administrator, Ellen White, and all of the department heads. This past year was definitely challenging running with the default budget, but they did a fantastic job running the departments, keeping as much staff on hand as they could, and hopefully this year we can focus on continuing to give some merit increases to our current staff and focus on hiring and filling positions that we still have holes in. But just also to give some perspective on how the tax cap has been calculated. For the past 2 years, we've been doing it, I guess, the correct way as it was passed by warrant in 2021, I believe, by the voters, is that the first couple of years it was focused just on the operating budget. And so what would happen is that the budget committee and the select board would move items to the warrant articles and then just keep that operating budget within that 4% increase. And that's not the way it's supposed to be done. So the challenge for the past couple of years has been including all of the warrant articles plus the operating budget for that 4% tax cap. Last year, with the default budget and a number of warrant articles not passing, our total appropriations were $385,883 less than 2023. So then our 4% cap is built upon something that was less than what we ran on in 2023. What we're proposing for warrant articles and the operating budget, which is within the 4% tax cap for 2025, is actually only about $80,000 more than what we ran on in 2021. And it's $150,000 more than appropriations in 2022. So I think that the select board did a good job of trying to keep our budget lean, but at the same time, trying to be realistic. There's a lot of things that we would like to do with town buildings, maintenance and improvement. Also, there's a number of roads that need improvements. So I feel that we've done a good job with trying to propose something that's meaningful and realistic for 2025.
I just wanted to mention that we are successfully live on channel 22 and YouTube. So we even have 24 voters watching online. Before I open the floor for discussion, I just want to remind us all that we are not here to change individual line items in the budget. You can change the bottom line, but we cannot edit individual lines, so be cognizant of that. And if you are proposing an amendment that changes the bottom line, I will need that written with the math done for me. So at this point, I will go ahead and open the floor for questions, comments, or amendments. So close.
Skip Severn, 40 Stage Road.
And unfortunately, this microphone does require you speaking really loud and being really close. So.
How's that?
Better.
All right. I have several questions. You want them all at once? I have several questions. Do you want them all at once?
Sure.
Okay. I was wondering, and I think you kind of just said it in a different way, but the executive line seems to have gone up quite a bit, and the personnel administration line seemed to go up a bit. Is that because of the salary increases or whatever that essentially that?
You want to speak to that, Joseph?
Sure. So yeah, that was $35,000 of that increase is adding back to the merit compensation pool. That was eliminated last year in the default budget.
My next question.
I'm sorry. Interrupted. One other thing that was added into the operating budget this year, because one of the warrant articles that did not pass last year was for the revaluation to add $20,000 to the revaluation for the town. That we're required to do that, and that's this year. So what's remaining that fund right now is not enough to actually fund it. So we actually added it into the operating budget this year as well to fund the revaluation for 2025.
Okay, is that under the reevaluation line?
Yeah.
Or- Oh, okay. So, I need help on this one. Dawn, you said we can't change the line item numbers? Or
Correct.
the amounts?
Correct. We do not have, that's not, that was, the budget hearing was the process to discuss individual lines. Here, we're just discussing the bottom line.
Yeah.
I asked the audience to please refrain from shouting.
So if I was to increase the budget X amount for a specific purpose, would that happen that way?
Your purpose would be advisory only. So you're certainly welcome to,
Should I say my name again?
you're certainly welcome to inform us as to why you'd like to raise the bottom line by an amount, but as far as what the board of selectmen does afterwards, it's just advisory. You are in fact increasing the budget by that amount.
All right. So I would like to increase the bottom line. Let's see, by $25,000 for the purposes of additionally funding Parks and Recreation. Their appropriation that they submitted was $149,000. The budget committee came down to $134,960. Just like to try and get that back.
Okay, if you could go ahead and write that down for me, and then we'll make it an official motion, and we'll get a second.
Okay.
Okay. Paper, pen, do you need paper, and pen?
I have paper here.
We have paper here.
I got it.
Everybody does it.
And just an update, channel 22 is now down. YouTube Live is up. Text your friends and neighbors who might be home watching, they can watch on YouTube Live. Oh man, you're worse than my doctor. I know.
Do you want me to type that?
All right, I will do the math for you.
Oh. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I have an amendment on the floor to Article 7 to increase the budget from $5,057,588 to I thought you were like AIing my next number for me. That would have been helpful. $5,082,788. Do I have a second? Second? Any speaker?
Card number's 38, Jen Phillips.
Jen Phillips? Skip made the motion. Jen is seconding the motion. Further discussion? Skip, go to seat so anyone else can speak to. No further discussion?
Hi, so as we know, last
Can I have
year,
your name?
oh, Thomas McKevich, 2 Washington Lane,
Thank you.
69.
Thank you.
Anyways, last year, the voters voted down the proposed budget and you all got stuck with the default budget. I think you did an excellent job running the town. Everything seems to be going pretty well. I would caution against increasing the proposed budget any further. You're risking it getting voted down again. Last year, a 4% increase was proposed and the voters voted it down. Again, we're proposing a 4% increase and now 25,000 more on top of that. I don't know why we would expect the voters to do anything different than they did last year and vote it down again. So I would caution people not to be greedy and inflate this budget and risk us having to go back to the default budget.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else? Seeing that there's, we're getting up, we're just moving.
Mr. Chadley, 16 Camelot Court.
See your voter card, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're welcome. So are you asking if there's any questions regarding his recommendation?
Correct, we're only discussing the amendment right now. Anyone have questions or comments in regards to this amendment? All right, all those in favor of amending Article 7, please raise your card and say aye. Ballot clerks, can I get a count, please?
I'm gonna take another far side and then. This side. Hold them up high so we can count them, please. No, not just.
All those opposed, please raise your card. Can I get a count of the opposed votes, please?
Yes. Can you count for this time?
No, someone else is counting in front. P, are you counting in front?
No, no, not the first. I was getting that other number. You, no, I did not. You need that. Yeah.
Just with your number.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna ask you to put your cards down. It was 2, so I would like a recount, if that's all right. All those in favor of passing the amendment, please raise your cards. Aye. Thank you. Can I have one person counting the front and then one person counting each side?
Yes.
3 counters, please. You're all changing your votes on me. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. This is gonna be just as bad, Coach. Right? I can add, but I wanna make sure. Okay, please put your cards down. All those opposed to the amendment, please raise your cards. Aye. Thank you.
Nope, I did the front. Yep, you're just doing your section.
Oh my gosh, we have a tie.
It's a tie. I think so gonna be on the back.
So technically, I would have been the tiebreaker, but I already voted, therefore the amendment fails. Not that I would have, my one vote would have changed it, if that makes any sense. I would have done the extra vote one way or the other, so it was 31-31. If it had been 31-31 and I hadn't voted, I would have been the tiebreaker, but I already was included in that, so because it's a straight tie, motion fails. See how important it is for you to come and vote? All right, any other conversation in regards to Article 7? Seeing none, sorry, go ahead.
So we just said it will.
Linda Prashad, News 16 Camelot Courts. In including non-town organizations in the operating budget is unethical, in my opinion. The town should not assume that all non-town organizations support each taxpayer. If any taxpayers support one or more of the organizations, they should have the opportunity to donate personally. I am not aware of the fire department, police department utilizing any of these organizations on a regular basis. It's unethical to donate taxpayer money to organizations that are not regularly utilized by town officials, fire department, police department, town center personnel. Taxpayer money spent on services for all taxpayers and taxpayer roads. And that is under the social services section.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion on Article 7? Moving on.
Madam Moderator, could I invoke Article 40:10 on Article 7?
You can I get a second to invoke? Second from Sandra Jones. We have a motion on the floor to invoke 40:10, meaning we will not discuss this again at any other point in the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 7 will be put on the ballot as written. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise appropriate the sum of $45,000 for the purpose of purchasing the necessary fuel, supplies, equipment, and maintenance to run the ambulance and billing services for 2025. And to authorize the withdrawal of $45,000 from the ambulance and equipment replacement special revenue fund created for this purpose. Majority vote required. The select board recommends this appropriation 5-0. The budget committee recommends this appropriation 7-0. The estimated tax impact is $0 per thousand of property valuation. We have Fire Chief Matt Curry and Board of Selectmen Fire Department Liaison Matt Sherling here with us today. If there's any discussion, I'd like to. No? Okay, all right. Any discussion from the floor for Article 8? All right, moving along. Article 8 will move to the ballot as written.
Madam Moderator,
Yes?
could I invoke Article 40:10 and make a motion?
Yes, Ken. We have a motion from Tim DeBrio to invoke Article 4010. Do I have a second? I have a lot. How about Gary Anderson right there in the front row? All those in favor of invoking Article 4010, please raise your card, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I will let you say no if you want to say no. No's, all right. Doesn't look like it. Article 9, to see if the town, Article 8, going to the ballot is written there. Said that, not discussing it again. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 to be added to the fire vehicle SCBA Capital Reserve Fund previously established, majority vote required. The select board recommends this appropriation 5-0. The budget committee recommends this appropriation 7-0. The estimated tax impact is 4 cents per thousand of property valuation. Again, we have Fire Chief Matt Curry, Board of Selectmen Matt Sherland. Either of you have anything to say in regards to this? No? All
As you
right.
can see on the slide, the current fund balance, $541,985. The planned future purchase in 2026 would be about approximately $40,000 for SCBA replacement. But obviously, this is an easy short-term gain to build up funds for a larger piece of equipment as required. The tanker is probably the next one, or maybe the forestry unit as it comes up based on age.
Great. Any discussion from the floor? All right, Article 9, we'll go to the ballot as written.
Could I make a motion to invoke Article 40:10
Yes, you can, Jim DeBrio.
on Article 9?
Can I get a second? All right, got Owen Friend Gray for a second. All those in favor of invoking Article 4010 for Article 9? All right, the ayes have it. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appoint the select board as agents to